if we look at the world from a political sense, we see that political leaders use religion to gain power. And we see that in Egypt when the pharaohs said they were gods and they were promoting a religious worship system to the sun, and they controlled the people through religion. And we see that working out in terms of the Roman Empire when Constantine, as the emperor, uses religion to control the population. So if we look at the what Yeshua, Jesus, taught in Israel, he was teaching Judaism, and Judaism is a religion of loving one's neighbor, loving God, obviously, and caring for each other. So things like looking after the alien, looking after the poor, those are principles of Judaism. But in terms of the worldly side of the political leadership, we see that the poor are not mentioned at all, that other issues are mentioned, and the worship of gods, or the systems of worship that would give the leader power. So if we look at Constantine, when in the 4th century he wanted to control the empire, not only militarily but also, and politically, but also religiously, what he did was to enforce a unity between the worship of people of the goddess Ostra, the mythical god Canonis, and they were representing Easter, and the Canonis representing Christmas. He unified that with what was then the early stages of what we know as Christianity. And Christianity is not a new religion. I want to tell you that. Christianity is actually Judaism, because Yeshua taught Judaism. So Christianity is keeping the 7th-day Sabbath, the feasts, etc. But because that wouldn't unify the empire, Constantine wanted to change those things so that it would fall in line with the worship of the goddesses of the day and the gods of the day, which celebrated things like the Christmas and Easter festivals, which were originally to do with gods, but Constantine incorporated that into what became early Christianity. So he unified the empire and became the religious leader. He was a Babylonian priest. And because of that unification, then leaders that followed actually took that example. And we can see in later years, in our period of time, that Hitler used religion to promote his ideologies, his threats against Judaism, because, like with Constantine, if he could get rid of the Jews and could get rid of the Judaism, then he had control. And Hitler blamed Jews for many things, and because Judaism represented loving your neighbor, of course Hitler's ideology was that he would kill anybody who disagreed with him, so it didn't fit. And we move on to see that happened with Stalin. And today, if you look at it, not from the point of view of extreme violence as it was with Hitler, but if you look at it in terms of today's political leaders, we see that Putin uses the religion of the Orthodox Church in Russia to unify the state and give him power, because he supports the Orthodox Church. Again, he doesn't mention the poor. He doesn't mention loving your neighbor. He doesn't talk in those terms. He talks in terms of things that will give him a power base based on bringing fear into what we would say were Christians in the Orthodox Church. So, and I'm going to expound on that. We see the same thing with Donald Trump today, where he uses the Christian community in America to promote his power base. So he said the other day, I love Christians, I am a Christian, but he doesn't have any Christian personality or character, but people actually believe in what our leaders tell us, and that really is part of what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about as well things like narcissism, which affects leadership. in a world, in our world, particularly today, but it also affects society where everybody looks after themselves and doesn't look after the neighbor. One of the things that you find in today's political arena is that most of today's tyrannical leaders actually use the examples of the past to formulate their policies, enabling them to create this power base, which is actually opposed to what I would say is biblical socialism, the idea of caring for the poor and the needy and those who are struggling in society. So I hope that gives you some more background. So thank you very much.